Something significant just happened in the automotive world, and most people haven't fully processed it yet. Matt Armstrong and his team have successfully started Alex's crashed Bugatti Chiron, a car that, by all conventional wisdom, should never have run again. And the moment that engine fired up, the reaction online was immediate and overwhelming.
Whoa, it's starting on!
But here's the thing. The celebration didn't last long before a debate broke out. Because when people heard the car running, they didn't just hear a Chiron coming back to life. They heard something different. Something that divided the comment sections almost instantly. Alex's Bugatti is now fitted with a custom exhaust system by Valvetronic Designs, and the moment people heard it, the conversation shifted from "they actually did it" to "should it sound like that?" We're going to get into all of that. But first, let's take a moment to appreciate what actually happened here, because it genuinely deserves recognition before we start picking it apart. Bringing a Bugatti Chiron back to life outside of Bugatti's own factory is not a small thing. This is one of the most complex machines ever built for public roads. The engineering tolerances involved are extraordinary. The systems are deeply interconnected in ways that even experienced mechanics rarely encounter. The electronics alone, the sheer number of control units, sensors, and proprietary protocols are enough to make seasoned professionals walk away from the job entirely. Bugatti has been consistently clear about this. Their official position has always been that a seriously damaged Chiron essentially requires their own technicians, their own factory infrastructure, and their own specialized tooling to return to operational condition. The implication was never subtle. Outside of Molsheim, a wrecked Chiron is, for all practical purposes, finished. Matt Armstrong's team just proved that wrong. Whatever you think of the exhaust note, that achievement stands completely on its own, and it deserves to be acknowledged as such. Now, let's talk about the sound. To really understand why the reaction has been so divided, you need to hear both versions side by side. The Valvetronic system on Alex's car, and the factory exhaust on a standard, unmodified Chiron. Not read about them. Not take someone else's word for it. Actually listen, because the difference is significant enough that no amount of description quite captures it.
Let's do it. Whoa, it's starting on!
When you hear the Valvetronic system, the first thing you notice is the volume. It is substantially louder than anything most people associate with a Chiron. It has an aggressive, sharp edge to the tone, the kind of sound that draws attention and makes a statement. In isolation, it's a compelling exhaust note. But it doesn't sound like a Bugatti. Then you hear the factory car, and the contrast is immediate. The stock Chiron is deep. It's smooth. There's an unmistakable sense of power underneath it, but the whole thing is controlled, almost understated. It doesn't scream. It rumbles. And that distinction, between a car that screams and a car that rumbles, is exactly what this entire debate comes down to. To understand why the factory sound is the way it is, you have to understand the engine at the center of it, the W16. 16 cylinders arranged in a configuration that almost no other manufacturer has seriously attempted at this scale. 4 turbochargers feeding into that block. Over 1,500 horsepower in modern specification. This is not a naturally aspirated V10 clawing toward a 10,000 revolutions per minute redline. It was never going to sound like one, and Bugatti never intended it to. The W16 is a different kind of engine entirely. Its power delivery is enormous but smooth, building in a way that feels almost oceanic. A wave of torque and thrust rather than a sharp, screaming surge. The factory exhaust was tuned to reflect that character. What you hear from a stock Chiron is not restraint for the sake of politeness. It is restraint as a deliberate engineering statement. A way of communicating, through sound, exactly what kind of machine this is. When you install an aftermarket system on an engine like this, you don't simply make the factory sound louder. You start to expose things that the original exhaust was specifically designed to manage. Mechanical noise from the rotating assembly. tonal characteristics that were always present but carefully suppressed. The engine is not compromised, the performance is unaffected, but the character of the car changes. And for a significant number of people watching, that character shift goes too far. The comment sections made this very clear, very quickly. One viewer wrote that the exhaust sounds harsh and unpleasant compared to the stock car, and that comment gathered considerable engagement because it put words to something a lot of people were feeling in real time. The sharpness of the Valvetronic system against the smooth, controlled depth of the factory setup was a contrast many viewers found jarring, not because the car sounds damaged or wrong, but because it sounds like a fundamentally different car. Another commenter made the point that while what Matt and his team accomplished is genuinely incredible, the exhaust tone simply doesn't match the character of the vehicle. That a Bugatti is supposed to sound powerful and refined at the same time, and that those two qualities are not in opposition, they are the whole point. Giving up one to emphasize the other misses something essential about what the Chiron actually is. A third viewer was more direct. The car sounds like a track build waking up a neighborhood. And while that might be a slight exaggeration, the underlying point is valid. Volume, in this context, is not just an aesthetic choice. It signals intent. It tells you what category of car you're dealing with. A car that arrives quietly and does everything at a level that makes the performance feel almost effortless belongs to a very different category than a car that announces itself from 2 blocks away. This is where the debate gets interesting because there are two genuinely coherent positions here, and neither one is obviously wrong. The first position is that a car producing 1,500 horsepower should sound like it. That the factory exhaust, for all its refinement and engineering intent, is ultimately suppressing something that deserves to be heard. That there is a kind of dishonesty in building one of the most powerful road cars ever made and then tuning the sound so thoroughly that you almost forget what's under the hood. If you want theatrical drama, an aggressive exhaust gives you that. And there's a legitimate argument that on a car this extraordinary, some theatricality is earned. The second position is that Bugatti's restraint is not a limitation, it's an achievement in its own right. That engineering a car this fast, this powerful, and making it sound this composed is considerably harder than making it loud. The factory sound is the result of thousands of hours of tuning decisions made by people who understood exactly what this car should feel like to sit inside and experience. Changing that sound is not simply adding volume. It's replacing one carefully constructed identity with another. Both positions have real merit, and that tension between visceral expression and refined control is genuinely interesting to think about in the context of a car like the Chiron. But here is the part of the story that actually resolves the debate, at least in practical terms. It's Alex's car. Alex spent an enormous amount of time, money, and patience getting this car back on the road. He chose the Valvetronic system. He signed off on how it sounds. And the whole point of owning something is that you get to make those choices for yourself without needing them approved by a comment section. What's worth separating, clearly, is the achievement from the modification. Matt Armstrong and his team accomplished something that Bugatti's own positioning suggested was effectively impossible outside of the factory. That stands regardless of what exhaust is fitted. The engineering story here is remarkable, and it doesn't become less remarkable because of a debate about tone and volume. At the same time, the debate itself is worth having, because it touches on something real about what makes a Bugatti Chiron a Bugatti Chiron. The sound is not an afterthought. It was engineered with the same obsessive care as every other system in the car. It was meant to communicate something specific about the experience of driving a machine at this level. Whether a louder, more aggressive exhaust enhances that experience or undermines it is a genuinely interesting question, and reasonable people land on different sides of it.